Sasha from Woodburn Corner, and today I'm going to be burning a little project. Let's get started. I am in Barrie, Ontario. It's a snowstorm right now. There's about 30 centimeters already on the ground and 30 more coming. Please let me know in the chat where you are coming from. I am looking at your comments. Here is my space where I will be burning. I am following your comments along, so please feel free to ask me questions anytime, and I will do my best to answer them. All right, now that I've got you in my clip. All right, so this is a walnut cookie or a little wood slice. I love how thick it is. I usually don't burn on such thick pieces, but I found this one and I figured that I'll take the opportunity to burn on the edges because why not? It already came pre-sanded like this. Unfortunately, the sticker was on the back. Oh, hi, Kent from UK. Ooh, all over the world. So exciting. Unfortunately, the sticker price tag was on there, so the only way to remove that would be to sand it down a little bit. But I'm going to be using this wood slice as a plant stand. So the bottom of the plant will be covering this completely. So I'm just gonna actually use it to test out my burn. Before I burn an actual where I want the design to be, I like to test it out because every wood is different, every wood slice is different, and yeah, it goes as it goes. Okay. First, I want to talk about a little bit about safety before I do begin. As you can see, I have my fan located fairly close to my wood slice. It is facing away from me, so it's going to pull the smoke out. And then further along, I have a air purifier, which is has an active carbon filter in it. Oh boy. Oh no. Sorry, one second. I'm getting a... That's not ideal. My mount is decided to not be stable. Oh boy. Okay, well, live streaming fun, I guess. Here we go. I do not want to hold that the whole time, so bear with me, please, as I try to figure this out. Not sure why this happened. Okay, I'm not touching that again. It is stable and solid, so here we go. Apologies for that. That's never happened before. Okay, so back to safety, carbon filter, fan that is facing away from me so it can pull the smoke into the carbon activated filter, air purifier. Another great option, and this is what I always use, is a high flow active carbon filtered mask. This one is from RZ Mask. I love it because you can take this off and replace the inner shell, and I just give this hand wash whenever I need to, and it is super comfortable. I love the one strap because it fits under my ponytail, or if I have my hair down, it's comfortable. RZ has different options, like this one, for example, where you can spread out the straps if you have different hairstyles. I'm not going to be using these today because I want you guys to hear me. So But I want to let you know that it is very, very important to keep our lungs and our eyes safe. We don't want smoke going into we don't want to be breathing in smoke, and we don't want it to be going into the air for others to breathe in our home. So please stay safe when you are burning. In the summertime, I have the luxury of burning in my garage, and I have the whole window open, and I still use my fan. So do all the things you can. Woodburncorner.com has a safety guide with even more safety tips. I will add them in the description after the live. Oh, we got people from Canada. We got Merida in Yucatan, North Carolina, Sods Law in the UK. Oh, okay. So here we go. Let's go. What am I burning with? I have a razor tip SSD10. I am not touching my camera because I do not want it to fall off or do what it was doing before. The tips, the nibs, the pens I am using are two of my favorite, ultimate favorite. My number one is this one. It is a chisel tip is the actual name for it. I call it my sexy nib because it does everything I need it to do, and I absolutely love it. It's different than what not normal pyrographers. In general, a lot of pyrographers prefer something that is more rounded, especially when you're just beginning. It's a lot easier to have something that doesn't get caught in the wood. However, if you do give this a try, and my suggestions are to keep the nib tilted up, so you can see that tiny little corner is, if you burn like this, you're gonna get stuck and it's gonna be frustrating. So I suggest to like follow the cut line or follow the sharp angle, but angle it a tiny bit up so that you're not catching that edge. But again, for beginners, it's a lot easier to use the rounded curved ones because holding this really feels like a pen, so you're gonna be tempted to use it like a pen. But any angle, what I love about these is that there's no really one way to use it. There's better ways and worse ways, but I feel like whatever way you find that you're comfortable with, you can get used to that and make it work for you. So really, it's all about experimentation and trying out all the different kinds of options and really experimenting with them. So trying the different angles, trying to pull, pushing away from you, and all of the things. Twisting the pen. So, okay, here we go. I'm gonna start burning. I'm gonna be using this one for now. I'm gonna practice on here. My burner is on a 6 right now. Also a good place to start, especially if you are burning on a wood species that you haven't burned on before. Some woods are harder and some woods are not, so they require different levels of heat. Okay, so this is a good heat. I didn't really sink in too much at the beginning. If you could see, I am not really stopping in any spot. I'm just kind of moving along. If I stop too much at one spot, I'm going to do it. Oh, my fan is not on. If I stop too much in one spot, you can kind of see that there is a glow. It gives a glow and the line is thicker. So key is to be pulling your nib and keeping that consistency and flow as you go. So you don't really want to be stopped in any one spot. You don't want to go too fast either, because too fast means that your line your heat in the tool will not be able to keep up with your wood and burning it, so it's going to spread itself thin and you will not see your burn line. So I'm just slowly, patiently burning. Super random design. Strawberries are cute. That's the thing with nature too. Everything is has its general shape, but no two fruits are exact, and nature is not about straight exact lines. So there's a lot of forgiveness in here. And see, if I missed a little spot, I can even just add it in the background. I'm not too picky about exact details. It's because it's nature. Nature is awesome. Okay, so I wanted to test out that on the wood. Pretty good. I'm gonna stay at this heat. I'm actually gonna maybe turn it up half a bit so I can go a little bit faster. It will give me the glow lines that you see here, but I'm going to sand it a little bit in the future when I'm finished. So I don't really like the glow lines. What I really was excited to test is the little seeds that come with the strawberry, and I wasn't sure if I was going to use a flat edge or if I was going to use a tiny circle or if I was going to use a kind of a more rounded tip. This one might be a little bit too big because I just want to drag it and create like that a little bit triangle shape. So I'm going to test these all out. It's amazing that I can just pull it out and put this one in just very super easily. And my first one I'm gonna just test here, and it does give me a triangle-y look, but it is not, maybe it's too triangle-y. I don't want such sharp edges. So, ooh, I like this one. So as you can see, when I initially thought that this would be a good idea, it's too sharp of an edge. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the corner of my nib and jab it and twist. Jab it, twist, and pull. That's what the move is called. Jab, twist, and pull. And because this edge is so small, I can get really tiny details. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. That's okay. I approve my testings. Okay, but if I were to use this nib for doing larger areas, it would take much, much longer, so I'm going to change it out back to the chisel nib. That is the larger size, because both are the chisel nibs, but this one is the larger size. And here we go. So I turn my machine on. I do turn it on and off in between every single change. I don't want it on when I'm unplugging things. So safety first. Where do we start? Let's start on a lighter background so that it's easier to see. And here we go. So immediately I feel like it was a little bit, I wouldn't say harder to burn, but yeah, maybe a little bit harder to burn. It's going a little bit slower. Perhaps the pieces, especially where the bark is like still prominent here. So I'm just adjusting to those points with speed. I'm keeping it fast, but if I'm noticing any resistance, then I will go slower. I am constantly adjusting my speed to what it feels like when I'm burning, if that makes sense. And Star Dancer, Sod's Law about your stand moving. Ah, I've never heard about Sod's Law, so of course, when I'm guessing you mean when it's not supposed to, that's when it actually does. And I've been using this clamp for many years now, so of course it had to start now. That's okay. We got through it. It's stable and it's not moving, so I just cannot touch it anymore. So with this pattern, what machine am I using? I have a Razortip SSD10, which is what I'm using right now, and it is the dual one. I don't often change, I don't have two wires. This is the industrial wire, it's the red one. The black one is the standard wire, and the industrial wire is the one that is made for the industrial pens. And actually these are, I don't have, yes, I do have someone here. This one's thicker. So it's just meant that it can handle higher heat. This is their newer version. It has this ceramic kind of protection area. This helps nibs, especially interchangeable ones, keep from moving when it gets really, really hot. And it keeps it just more stable. And yeah, it's really good for when it gets really hot. And the foam is thicker, so your fingers don't get as hot. Generally, I find I don't have a problem with heat on this one. It doesn't get too hot on my fingers unless I am burning for a long time, and unless I am burning really hot for a long time in the moment. So it's not like I'm burning for 3 hours, but if I hold a line and it's maximum heat for a couple minutes, then I will feel it heating up, and I will feel it on my fingers. I've never had to let go of my nib. I've never had to wear gloves or anything, but I have poor circulation, so my hands are always cold. Maybe that's why. I have heard people complaining a lot about the heat on their fingers, and there are gloves for it. There are finger gloves that come just for the fingertips, and there's gloves that just go around just for the part that you're holding. So those, oh, Kicha, no thank you. My cat is here to say hi, but I will not let her enter the stage. Okay, so back to the machine. Razortip. I love my Razortip, but I just got gifted 7 other machines from Rachel, who is traveling the world, and I'm so excited for her, and I'm so grateful for her to have given me all her machines, and I'm super excited to really get into them. I have tried the other ones before, including the Peter Child. I've tried the, of course, there's all of them are the Optima 1 and the Peter Child's, the Master Burner, the Master Craft. I've given all of those ones a brief try, but I haven't burned long projects with them, so I will be doing some reviews on here. And with these projects, I'm going to be trying to use a different machine every time I burn so that I can get to know it with you guys and kind of be able to compare each one, because in the end, it's not about the money you spend on it. It's what it feels like in your hands, how it looks, and how it functions. And you can only know that once you touch it, and actually use it. So I'm excited to start that journey. I think I'm burning a little bit too hot here. It is a little too thick of a line, so I'm going back down to 6. I will be able to sand it down. Actually, I'll show you right now. What it's going to look like when I sand it. So generally when you sand, you want to go with the grain. And then, oops, I have like a little microfiber thing to wipe off the dust. So you could see how it thinned out the line and it got rid of the glow line. So there's still hope for fixing these kind of thicker lines, but I am going to turn down my tool so that I can not have to sand so hard in the whole entire thing. Sometimes if you sand a lot, then you can sand away your burn marks, which, especially if you're not burning very deeply or thickly, especially with shading, for example, then you can really completely lose all your burn marks. Okay. Hi, Efrain. I'm glad you're liking my stream here. Hakina, Mark, hi from Chicago, Illinois. I have a Coalwood Super Pro. Yes, I have the Coalwood as well. I'm gonna try it out. I had those 3, the ones you guys have been mentioning, the Peter Child, the Coalwood, Optima, and Razor Tip, are 4 excellent machines. And I highly recommend all 4 of them if you're looking to get a professional burner. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna flip my thing around here because that's another tip. Always have the wood placed where it is most comfortable for you. When you are doing a live stream, that's not always possible, and when you're recording, it's not always possible, but I have recorded a lot of different videos of me burning, and I've challenged myself to record only in one spot, which definitely has helped me explore the tool that I'm using in a forceful way, having to twist my nib in order to get the right angle and rotate the pen in a way that I can reach all the spaces. So it's a challenge. If you want it, then take it, but I suggest highly to be rotating your wood as you go. Sometimes I even move my wood as I burn, so I'm simultaneously moving my nib and the wood. This helps a lot for larger pieces too. And so here we go. Just kind of following my lines. They're a little bit difficult to see, but I'm okay with that because strawberries, again, are very natural looking and they do not have to be exact. And actually, often our handmade strokes add a more organic feel and a more handmade look, which isn't always a bad thing. So for beginners, I don't recommend going back into your lines. If you burned a line and it's thin and you want to fix it, that's a really tricky thing to do, to get it exact. But if you have to, one of the tricks that I use is to either turn down your burner or give it a blow so that it doesn't burn too hard here. And then you can match the thickness of your line. So Now, when you're wearing a mask, you obviously can't do that, so turning down your burner is a very useful tip to do when you are going over your lines. I suggest not going over them too many times either, because then you're just going deeper and deeper, and it just looks blacker and bigger, so you're not always necessarily going to be fixing it. It could make it worse if you go over it several times. Okie doke. Awesome. Thank you all for coming. This has been really nice to have you all here. I'm finally relaxing a little bit. Pyrography has been my ultimate escape of reality. I have pyrography to thank for being here and being patient and being, I don't know, in the mindset that I am, because it provides a space for me to just be and not worry about the world, not think about anything else except for what is right in front of me. It is a slow, nice and slow art form, so it forces my brain to slow down, which is really important. As a human being, we need to slow down our brains sometimes, and I have a hard time doing that when there's so much to do and there's so much I want to do. So this has definitely helped me to force me into that mindfulness. It's a form of meditation. Okay, I think I see comments coming in, but I don't see them on my screen here, so. That was right here. Okie doke. Flip it around here, do this little guy. If you have any other questions, please let me know. I have a question for you. When I was setting this up, I was wondering, should I have music in the background or should it be silent? In the end, I chose silent because YouTube has a very strict policy on what kind of music you can use, and I didn't know if I wanted to have it or not, so I just chose not to. But I feel like it would be kind of nice if you were able to join me in my atmosphere. So tell me what you prefer, my music, or do you like your music in the background? Oh, I'm jumping around here. I was working on this leaf. So you could see no music. I can't hear with background music. I agree. I've been watching a lot of videos recently, and some people do have the music that's too loud. So I appreciate your advice, and maybe what I'll do is I have a playlist that I use for burning. It is a little bit of a very ambiance drum and bass kind of acousticy, just relaxing music, and maybe I'll share that in next time. No music, thank you. Okay, good. You can stream a playlist. Yes, the playlist. So I think I will do that as well, or just share what I listen to on Spotify, so that you can join my vibe, because it's a very relaxing playlist. I also sometimes listen to podcasts when I'm burning. Obviously, I can't fully concentrate on them sometimes because I like to be in the zone of the wood and, feeling out what I'm doing here. But if I have something already traced and I'm doing something repetitive, like these strawberries, I don't have to really think about it too much. Then I do like that audio book or podcast. But yeah. You prefer background music? I vote no music. Mostly no's, but there's a yes. Yeah, I think I mean, I like the music if it's super, super soft, but then, yeah, you can't control that if you're listening as a listener. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna burn the lighter edges so that you can see them better. And so, I guess some more tips that I would share here is that, you can see sometimes, I held that too long, but you can see sometimes I'm pulling, sometimes I'm pushing, but generally whichever way I'm going, I'm leaning away from it so that my edge doesn't get caught. Sometimes I even stamp like this, and that way I'll be able to control very precisely what I want to do, especially for like a tiny little edge like this that I want to connect. I would prefer to stamp it, and I mucked it up a little bit. That's okay. I prefer to stamp it than drag it. I also don't like this little bump here. Only way to fix that is through sanding it at this point. But I'm not going to worry about that because it's a strawberry and it's an organic shape and it doesn't have to be perfect. That's another thing with the handmade vibes. Perfection is not a necessary thing. And the more imperfections we get, the more it looks like a human has done it, and the more character it gives. And it has a completely different vibe when you want to do a perfect exact line or have that handmadeness to it. Okay, so here's a little bumpy. It's getting a little bit, the bark is there, so it's going from one end to from a sanded edge to a bark edge. There is a difference. Just go slow. Music and voice, Sandra. For the videos that focus on sound, yes, you do need a special mic setup. That is absolutely true. There's a lot to go in with these recordings, and I really value all your feedback and suggestions and opinions, because that is how I grow and learn and can bring you more and more moments like these and more content. Actually, Jahan was reached out to me and suggested to do a live together, which I would absolutely love to do, and in the future I will set that up for you. If you guys do like this, then we can have different guests on. And sorry, I got distracted by, I thought we were to draw burner nibs towards, not necessarily. You don't have to. Often pushing gets you stuck in the wood, so drawing the nib towards you is a lot more smooth. So for beginners to understand your tool, yes, you want to pull towards you. It's just easier to have that flow than pushing, because on pushing almost you're jabbing into the wood. But it's all about finding the tool that works for you and trying it in, not the tool that works for you, the nib that works for you, the specific nib, trying all the different nibs and using them in all the ways that you can possibly think of. Exercise every single option so that you can understand the nib and also get a feel for what you like to do. I personally do not like any rounded nibs because I feel like they're very slippery. They like slide away from me, and then I kind of mess up because I can't have that control. And this sharp nib, or any sharp nibs, like even nibs like this, when this is used mostly often for shading. Hold on, turn that machine off. This is usually used for shading, but you can also use this nib for straight lines. You got to be careful because it is curved, so obviously to get a straight line you're going to have to really push in a straight line to get that, whereas this one is perfectly straight and I don't have to aim anywhere, it just will flow straightly. So in terms of pushing and pulling this nib, sure, pulling is easier and you have less force against you, but pulling still you can, as long as you rotate that tip. If you're pulling like this, that sharp edge will get caught, so you want to just, I hope you can see that, you want to just angle it up and continue so that there's nothing to get caught in the wood. Because when you get caught in the wood, then the nib sinks and you'll just get a little bit of a hole, which is not ideal. So yeah, pushing, pulling, rotating is huge. You want to, like, stamping, but also rotating the pen itself. Try out all the different ways. Now it's turning out quite blobby, but that's because I'm burning on the edge and it's not a flat surface like this. So it's a little trickier, but it's nothing sandpaper won't be able to help. I'm debating whether I should color this in. I feel like because it's a strawberry, I should, because strawberries are super cute, but even cuter when they're colored. So I think I might do that, but I usually am scared to add color. I feel like, I don't know, you can go back. I have had pieces that I've added color and then regretted it, and then I gave it a gentle sand. I was using watercolor, so the color was able to be removed quite easily. However, if you're using like an acrylic marker or something more intense, or like a stain that goes like deep into the wood, then you might not be able to sand it off. Also, a note about burning with this kind of nib that is sharp versus a more rounded nib. The difference, a big difference, is that these nibs do have the lines and they burn quite deeply. However, because this one is so sharp, it's almost more like carving and burning at the same time. So these are very deep. These are quite deep. Like, I can get my nail in there and follow it, whereas if I were to use a rounded nib, it might not be so easy, like so deep. So when I sand, I'm doing super light sanding, but it stays nice and sharp because I am burning very deep. So just be mindful if you are going to regret adding that color and want to choose a different one, or you made a really big mistake and you want to sand it off. All of the depth that you're going at will make a difference. Okay. So I want to kind of show you maybe a example of having a light line. This is a little bit lighter. Can I make it even lighter line? And versus my quite deep line, and the difference between sanding off one and the other. So as you can see, sanding it took off pretty much all of that line, but all it did here was sharpen the edges. So the way I'm burning, I can sand it quite hard. I gave it some elbow grease, even here a little bit came off. You can redo the line with some forgiveness if you don't burn too deep, but you can also burn deeply to preserve your lines and be able to sand it so you don't get those glow, that glow. And of course I sanded my pencil away, so now I have to improvise, which is fine. I'm just following a pattern here, a random pattern of just a strawberry this way, strawberry that way, strawberry this way. So you can see I'm going to fill in the little crevices with the strawberry blossom, those little white cute flowers that strawberries have. Eventually I will do that. What temperature am I burning at? That's a good question. I'm at a 6. And previously I was at a 6.5, and I found that to be a little too strong, so I just bumped it down to a 6, and that allowed me to go at a speed that I enjoy and not have too blobby of a line. Because there's a lot of detail here, I want to be turning down the temperature so that I can get into the small spaces and then I have room for all my burn marks. Oops, it's a sharp one. It's okay. I like to use all the corners and edges of my nib. I use it like a pen. Sometimes I draw a line with it like this, which is quite difficult actually. This is better. If you go slow enough, you might be able to get a straight line, but really the magic happens when you're using the straight edge. But for tiny little spots, actually that wouldn't be bad for the seeds as well. I could just use this one and then I don't have to change. Okay, I think here's my next strawberry. I'm so excited to try out my other burners one by one, because I have been using this razor tip for about 12 to 13 years. Oh, I don't know now, maybe even longer than that. But I got paid with a burner as my first job. In pyrography, somebody asked me to burn something for them and they couldn't pay me, and so they said I can keep the machine. And at that time, like a $350 machine was quite exciting. I'm very happy I took the offer because I still have the same machine and I am very happy with it. I have had to replace the wire, and probably just from traveling and bending so much. I have not had to send it back for repair, zero upgrades, zero anything done. So the machine itself is phenomenal. But again, the wire I did have to change. Like this part started to come off and get dirty inside. And the nibs, naturally, I've had many different nibs over the years because I have practiced with a lot of them. And I actually had to discard my oldest one. It was a interchangeable nib like this, but it was the really old version without this ceramic protection. And you have to unscrew each of these sides to exchange the nib. I'll just show you very quickly here. Super easy, but if this is hot or even warm, the metal bends. And putting it in, you want it to make sure that it's quite tight. So you don't want to over tighten it, but you know, that's metal and it bends. So that one that has broken. I probably could have sent it in for repairs, but I actually don't like the interchangeable ones as much. I prefer the solid ones because they are just lighter and thinner, and they just, I don't know. I already know which nib I like, so I got the version I like in a permanent pen. But these are crucial for discovering tips and your nibs, because I think Razor Tip or all the companies have thousands of nibs available. I think was it Razor Tip that you can contact them and say, I want a nib that looks like this, and they can make it for you. If I can remember correctly, I think that was Razor Tip, but how cool is that? If you have an idea in mind, you can also easily make your own nibs. Like this is just a wire. It's well, not the ball, because that's a lot more difficult, but for more simple nibs, you just bend the wire and connect it together. But you just have to be careful which wire you use, and they could break very often, especially if you're burning at a high temperature, and if you press hard, sometimes they could bend or break. So I like to use the ones that are already made, but it is cool to think that you can make your own and put it on the machine. And actually all the machines that we talked about today have the interchangeable option, I believe. So that is really neat. I have been burning for probably, I would say, at least 15 years. I started really getting into pyrography in the last, I would say, 5 to 10 years, but I have been burning since I don't know what year. I don't remember what year, but very, very long. I've been burning for 10 years. And as I said, I use it as my escape and my meditation practice. It's helped me get through some tough times, being able to just zone out and be free my mind of the daily clutter. It's funny, I don't usually have so much patience when it comes to art. I don't enjoy watercolor. I love watercolor and I love how it looks, but whenever I watercolor, I need to do like 15 pieces at a time so that I can let one dry while I keep going with another, and I just I can't sit and wait for that paint to dry. But wood burning is not a fast hobby either. It is slow, it is meticulous, it is very satisfying. Perhaps that's why have the patience for it, but it does require slow down, a slower hand. Oh, I got to the other end. Yay. It does require a bit of a slow down. So I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the burning sensation that feels cool. Alright, that looks like a triangle, but that's okay. It is what it is. We accept strawberries in all sizes, even triangle shapes. My last little guy here. This one is very small. So when it's tiny, super tiny details, I usually just use the corner of my nib and I rotate in. I'm rotating my pen in each corner, but really you can also rotate the wood into whatever you feel most comfortable with. Sometimes you forget when you're in the zone and you need a specific angle, you can just change the wood. There we go. Alright, there's a cute guy. Okay, I'm just gonna do this. It's almost been an hour. So I'm just gonna finish these two little leaves. And then I'm gonna do some seeds. Before I get off here. Oh, another thing for comfort. I got this ready, but I don't think I need it. I grabbed a stuffy, and you can place it underneath your wrist. Actually, that is a lot better. I should have probably been doing that from the beginning. I even brought it here, but nerves are real, so hopefully I didn't forget anything else important. Please leave your comments or your thoughts in the chat. I'd love to know what you thought, if you want to see more. I'm excited to get on with Jahan eventually. I don't know when that's going to be, but that will happen in the future. And oh my gosh, it's so much easier with this duck in here to hold my balance. I worry about the very high electrical bills in the UK. Do you find having fans and machine running puts the bills up much? Probably. I don't think I've gone without wood burning long enough to know the difference. I'm wood burning almost every day, and the fans don't take up too much. I mean, the machine perhaps does, but also like this has been an hour. Like how long can you wood burn for? If you're burning like me every single day for hours, then perhaps it's a little bit of a difference, but I think I would need to go on a strike and not use it so I can compare. Perhaps I'll ask the previous owners what their bills look like. However, their habits are different. So, to be honest, if it came down to it, I would rather turn down the temperature 3 degrees and travel with a flashlight and not have any lights on, if that meant like giving up wood burning, because I would not I would not be able to give this up. And if I couldn't afford the electricity, then I would do anything and everything in my power to reduce it elsewhere. But I'm sure it does have a little bit of an impact. I do let the big purifier, the big black one here with the carbon filter, I do let that stay on for about an hour after I burn, every time, because it's blowing through the fan and through the carbon filter, but I just have a child here, and I don't want her to be impacted by the smoke in the air. So, yeah, that doesn't answer the question. Apologies, but I think if you're maybe not burning full time, perhaps it's okay. I love watching you wood burn. Thank you. On shading, yes, shading is definitely hard, especially with this nib. This nib is not meant for shading. If I'm not going to be switching nibs and doing shading, I can do a shading video next time, but well, I can give you a little taster. Basically, with this nib, I would shade at a lower temperature. I just turned it down to a 3, and I'm going really slowly and dragging, so that is creating a nice consistent shade. And then I would pull it faster to get a lighter shade if I want that gradient. I think you can see that, right? It gives a little bit of a, maybe I should do it on the white part of the wood. So you want it to be kind of flatter, and you want to pull it. See that with the grain, it matters. One way, one direction is going to be more than a different direction. So in terms of shading, I would say really, really, really low, really, really, really slow, and lots of patience and lots of layers. You can overlap the shadings, but you don't want to overlap too much, because wherever you're going to be going is going to be affected with a darker color. So for example, with this guy, I would also use a lower setting, and to be honest, the spoon shader is the best, because this has sharp edges, so you're going to have a sharp edge. But basically what you want to do is in circular motions. This one I pulled in one direction because it's a square, but because you can absolutely pull it in one direction. No, I have to turn it up. I do have to, when you pull in one direction, turn it up more. This one is the industrial pen, so it does require more heat. Now I've bumped it up to an 8. And the key is consistency. The slower you go, the darker it'll be. So if you want it to gradient out, you go faster. And again, just layers on layers. And if you have a spoon shader, which next time I will have on hand, another good technique in shading is to slowly add layer by layer, adding in a circular motion. Hope that's visible. So maybe next design we'll add some, I really wanted this to be kind of folk art vibes, so I wanted it to be strong lines and like chunks of color and or chunks of pattern, but it doesn't really look folk arty. But maybe when I add the color, I'll make it like a really poppy color or a see-through color. Oh my goodness, I don't know. That's why I don't like adding color, because I can never decide what to do. Or metallics. I've been testing out so many metallics recently, and it's been very exciting doing that. So yeah, I hope I answered your question about the shading. We can go into it maybe when I'm actually doing a piece on shading, or that has shading in it rather. Okay, so I'm bumping it down to a 3 again, turning on my machine. Well done, thank you, Grażyna. Oh, it's so lovely to see you here. He is the efficiency. Oh, I don't think modern machines affect electric bills that much. That's good to know. I have the same Winix filter on all the time. Plus, I turn on the air to air exchange, the carbon filter fan. Yeah, to be honest, before I burned, I smelt it. The moment I smell anything, I turn on my big carbon filter Winix machine, and I literally don't smell anything. So it works beautifully. And your hubby is an efficiency expert, so no waste, and has not pointed any changes in the electrical bills. Yay! Thank you, Sandra, for sharing that. How often, and how long do you burn, John? So I guess we can compare to the amount of time that you burn. If you're burning, are you burning hours a day? Okay. It has been an hour. Oh, I turned it down too low because I am not shading. I am just doing regular lines. So I'm going to be at a 7. You burn 3 hours a day. Okay, so that's quite a bit. And so if there's no changes to your electrical bill, then I guess we are doing fine. These probably should all be the same size, but that's okay. Oh, another word of warning. I think I left out a strawberry here. Another word of warning about coloring, adding color and such. Always, always, always add the color after you burn. So all these tiny details, I would be very tempted to burn afterwards to add those details. However, it's very toxic to be burning on paint. There's plastics in there, there's metals, some of paint has metals in there, so you do not want to be burning on top of it. You just have to go around it. You can, for like very specific spots, like these dots, I would just add the paint as well as I could around it, and then take a toothpick or a razor nib, or even your burner with it off, and just scratch out the paint, like just gently, like a dentist kind of, but with it off, and then make sure to clean off the nib when you are finished. Oh, hi, Monica. How did I start or discover my passion for wood burning? That's a very good question. I was lucky enough to have some friends who had big dreams. They purchased a bus, and they changed the entire inside of the bus. They gutted it, and then they changed the entire inside of the bus to wood. They were very nature loving people who wanted to take this bus from festival to festival and to parties and to have it sort of like a DJ booth on wheels, so they can go to festivals too and have DJs play right out in front of it. They painted the outside beautifully. It's called Bass Bus. And they did a fantastic job of this business. The inside was stunning. It was all done in cedar, and the benches around the edges were done in wood, and they needed decoration for it. And because they wanted to have permanent decoration that doesn't get bothered by the bumping of, you know, driving around or the people coming in and out, they wanted to have something more permanent in the wood. And they discovered somehow pyrography, and I think it was one of the owner's grandfather had a pyrography machine, and they they asked me. I draw a lot, and I do a lot of different arts and crafts, and I do pastels, I do feather earrings, I do you know, anything and everything. I'm a crafter through and through. So they just said, "Can you do this?" And not knowing, I said, "Sure." And I did it. It was beautiful. It turned out great. And they said they couldn't pay me. So they asked me if I wanted to keep the machine, since I enjoyed the craft so much, and I accepted, because not only does my artwork get to be seen by so many people, but I also have this machine for future use, and I did not stop burning after that. So I got very lucky. Oh, I missed a little strawberry here too, I think. Well, now there's gonna be one here. Okay, I think oh, you burn for 3 hours, not every day. Okay, okay. If I missed any questions or people, let me know, but I think I got everyone. Thank you for being here, everyone. I've been super truly blessed with the amount of support and love that I'm getting from everybody. I just feel really, really lucky and grateful that I have so many people around me who give so much love and support. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, I'm sorry to hear your $300 a month. Is that $300 US? Or is that's a lot. Yikes. I'm sorry about that. We do also have high energy bills here as well, but I don't think they go that intense. US and UK are very similar. Canada here, it is quite high too, but I don't think it's that high as what you're mentioning. Would love the reviews of different machines too. Yes, I cannot wait to get my hands on all of the different machines. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do like a 1-by-1 review, like one video per machine. Probably, because I want to go really into depth and try out all of the things, like the buttons and the burnings, and I want to do a full project with it rather than just playing around with it, because the longevity of it is important too. How it feels in your hands after a long time, especially with the heating up. A lot of people are complaining about razor tips, specifically that the pen heats up a lot. And I don't find that, but I do see how the use can affect the heat. So I still got little flowers to burn here, but I'm gonna take a break and I'm gonna finish this a little bit later, and then I will compile a time lapse of it done and in situation when the plant is sitting on top of all this stuff. Maybe one video per machine, then do a comparison. Good call. I like that. And once I do all the individual ones, then I will have a good overview of all of them together. So that is a fantastic idea. Thank you. Thank you, Star Dancer. I love that name too, by the way. I have a tattoo of a star. Stars are super, oh my gosh, and a star here. Look at that. They're very dear to my heart for many reasons, but okay. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to let you all go now because I promised for an hour, and it's been 1 hour and 11 minutes, which is also beautiful timing. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate all your questions. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you. Happy burning, everyone. You're welcome, and thank you for being here. Thank you.